The combined human fleet moved forward like a wall of steel. 92 ships, all built to survive Earth's hell, all crewed by species that refused to quit. The battered Third Shock Fleet took position at the center, their battle damage worn like badges of honor. The fresh 1st and 5th Fleets flanked them on both sides. Captain Jinwoo opened a channel to the entire Terran force. "This is Captain Jinwoo to all ships. For 3 days we've shown the Chromath what guerrilla warfare looks like. Now we show them what happens when Deathworlders stop holding back. Remember what we're protecting. Remember who we are. For Earth, for the Velans, for everyone who can't protect themselves." A chorus of acknowledgments came back. Across 92 bridges, human crews prepared for battle. They had trained for this. Earth had trained them for this. Every natural disaster they survived, every extreme environment they conquered, every predator they outsmarted, it all led to this moment. Supreme Commander Garthen watched the human fleet approach and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. The Chromath Empire had conquered 47 worlds. They had crushed armies and burned civilizations. But they had never faced anyone like this. "All ships, maximum firepower," Garthen ordered. "Target their command ship. Concentrate fire. We'll cut off their head and the body will fall." The Chromath fleet opened up with everything they had. Plasma beams, particle weapons, fusion missiles, all aimed at the Indomitable. The space between the fleets lit up like a small sun as thousands of weapons fired simultaneously. The Indomitable's shields flared bright as the weapons hit. Energy splashed across the protective barrier, draining it rapidly. Warning alarms sounded on the bridge. "Shields at 40%, Sujin reported. 30%, 20, they're almost through." "Maintain course," Jinwoo said calmly. "Weapons return fire. All ships engage at will." The human fleet's railguns spoke in unison. Thousands of tungsten rounds crossed the distance in seconds. The Chromath shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. Ships exploded. Hulls cracked. The Chromath formation shattered under the assault. "They're breaking apart," Sujin called out. "The formation is collapsing." But Garthen wasn't finished. "All dreadnoughts target the planet. If we can't have it, neither can they. Prepare planet-killer weapons." The 5 massive dreadnoughts turned their guns toward Velis Prime. Their main weapons began charging, building up enough energy to crack the planet's crust and burn its atmosphere. The Velans watching from the surface saw the dreadnoughts turn and knew what was coming. They had minutes to live. Lieutenant Dongwu saw it on his sensors. "Captain, the dreadnoughts are targeting the planet. Charging weapons. Estimate 3 minutes to firing." Jinwoo didn't hesitate. "All ships, emergency speed. Target those dreadnoughts. We stop them or we die trying." The human fleet surged forward. The ships accelerated beyond safe limits, pushing their engines into the red. Inside the vessels, crews experienced forces that would kill most organic species. 9Gs, 10-11. Medical Officer Daun watched her crew's vitals spike. People were grunting with effort, veins standing out on necks, faces turning red from the pressure. But no one passed out. No one quit. Earth's gravity had prepared them for this. 60 seconds to dreadnought weapons range, Sujin said through gritted teeth. 45 seconds to planet killer firing, Tactical added. It was going to be close. Too close. Then Weapons Officer Hyunwoo had an idea. "Captain, what if we don't wait to get in range?" "Explain," Jinwoo said. "The railguns have maximum effective range, but that's just for accuracy. We can fire now at extreme range. Most shots will miss, but we've got 92 ships. Statistically, some will hit." Jinwoo made the decision in a heartbeat. "All ships fire everything. Full spread. Don't stop shooting until those dreadnoughts are scrap." Every human ship opened fire at once. Railguns that had never been tested at this range launched their deadly cargo. Thousands of tungsten rounds streaked across space. Most missed, sailing past the dreadnoughts into the void. But some hit. And at these speeds, even a glancing blow was devastating. The first dreadnought took 3 hits along its port side. The rounds punched through armor and detonated fuel lines. The ship listed to one side, its weapon charge disrupted. "Keep firing," Jinwoo shouted. The second dreadnought took a direct hit to its main weapon. The charging planet killer exploded, turning the front third of the ship into debris. The third dreadnought tried to maneuver, but a lucky shot hit its bridge. The massive vessel went dead in space, but 2 dreadnoughts were still active. Their weapons finished charging. In 5 seconds they would fire, and the Velan homeworld would die. Engineer Sung Ho, working in the Indomitable's engine room, saw the power readings and made a choice. Diverting all power to forward railguns. Shields, engines, life support, everything. We've got one shot. Do it, Jinwoo confirmed. The Indomitable's main guns drew power from every system on the ship. The lights dimmed. The engines died. The shields collapsed. But the railguns charged to levels they were never designed to reach. Firing, Hyunwoo said, and pulled the trigger. 6 rounds launched at once, moving faster than anything the Indomitable had ever fired before. They crossed the distance in less than a second. All 6 hit the 4th Dreadnought's main weapon just as it was about to fire. The planet killer exploded inside its own ship. The Dreadnought came apart in a chain reaction that lit up the system. The blast wave hit the 5th Dreadnought and damaged its firing mechanism. The weapon misfired, the energy beam going wide and missing the planet completely. Yes, someone shouted on the Indomitable's bridge. But they weren't safe yet. The Chromath fleet, seeing their dreadnoughts destroyed, went berserk. They charged the human fleet in a desperate final attack, firing everything they had. The battle became a close-quarters brawl. Ships fired at point-blank range. Hulls scraped against hulls. It was brutal and ugly and exactly the kind of fight that humans excelled at. Because Earth had taught them how to fight dirty, the TSS Relentless rammed a Chromath cruiser head-on. The human ship's reinforced bow, designed to survive atmospheric entry, tore through the alien vessel like tissue paper. Both ships survived, but the Chromath crew was unconscious from the impact while Dongwoo's people were already firing at the next target. The battle lasted another hour. When it finally ended, the Chromath fleet was gone. Some ships had been destroyed. Others had fled. Supreme Commander Garthen's flagship jumped to FTL with only 7 other vessels, running for Chromath space with their tails between their legs. The human fleet held the field. They were damaged, exhausted, and running on empty. But they had won. On Velis Prime, Chancellor Prielva stood in the ruins of their capital city and watched the human ships orbit overhead. Those massive, overbuilt vessels had saved their entire species. Deathworlders had come to their rescue when no one else would. Jinwoo received a transmission from Fleet Admiral Hai Jin. "Well done, Captain. You've just changed history. The Galactic Union is watching. They saw everything. What happens now?" Jinwoo asked. "Now we show them who we really are. Earth is sending diplomats. We're offering protection to any peaceful species threatened by aggressors. The Deathworlder Defense Initiative starts today." Commander Taemin, who had just been promoted to Admiral for his role in coordinating the relief efforts, appeared on screen next. "I'll be leading the new initiative. We're recruiting volunteers for 5 new fleets. Captain, I want you to train them." Jinwoo looked at his exhausted crew. They were beaten up, running on fumes, and most of them had injuries. But every single one of them was smiling. They had done the impossible. They had shown the galaxy that Deathworlders weren't monsters. "It would be an honor," Jinwoo said. 2 weeks later, the Terran Council held a ceremony on Earth. Representatives from the Velen Concordance attended, the first alien species to set foot on the Deathworld. Prielva stood on the stage in a special suit that protected them from Earth's crushing gravity and toxic oxygen levels. "We were told to fear you," Prielva said to the assembled crowd. "The Galactic Union said your world was too dangerous, that your people were too violent, that we should avoid Earth at all costs. But when we needed help, when we were dying, you came. You risked everything to save people you'd never met." The Chancellor looked around at the humans gathered before them. "I have seen your world now. I understand why the galaxy fears it. Earth is brutal and harsh and unforgiving, but I also understand what Earth created. It created a species that knows suffering, that understands struggle, and that refuses to watch others suffer if they can help. The galaxy thinks Deathworlders are dangerous. They're right. But not in the way they think. You're dangerous to tyrants and bullies. You're dangerous to anyone who preys on the weak. And you're the best allies anyone could ask for." The crowd erupted in applause. The ceremony continued with medals awarded and speeches given. But the real moment came later, in private, when Prielva met with Jinwoo one last time before returning home. "Will you come back?" Jinwoo asked. "Often," Prielva promised. "We're building a monument in our capital. It will show the human fleet arriving to save us. Future generations need to remember that when the Velens called for help, Earth answered." Jinwoo smiled. The Chromath Armada dropped out of FTL like a hammer falling from the sky. 300 warships filled the space at the edge of the Velen system. their weapons already charging. At the center of the formation, 5 massive dreadnoughts loomed like floating cities. Each one was designed to crack planets and burn atmospheres. On the bridge of the lead dreadnought, Supreme Commander Garthen reviewed the tactical data with satisfaction. His scouts had reported only 12 human ships remaining in the system. The primitives who had embarrassed Vexthor would soon learn what happened when you challenged the Chromath Empire. "Send a message to those human vessels," Garthen ordered. "Tell them to surrender immediately, or we will destroy the planet they're protecting. We'll give them 1 hour to decide." The communication officer sent the transmission. They waited. No response came. "Sir, the human ships, they're not where we expected them." Garthen frowned. "Explain." "They were in orbit around the 4th planet. Now our sensors can't find them. They've vanished. Ships don't just vanish. Expand the search pattern. They're hiding somewhere, and when we find them, we'll crush them." What Garthen didn't understand was that humans had spent thousands of years hunting prey that could fight back. Earth's predators were smart, dangerous, and deadly. Humanity had survived by becoming better hunters than anything else on their world. They understood ambush tactics, terrain advantage, and the element of surprise. Captain Jinwoo watched from the shadow of a massive asteroid cluster on the system's edge. The Indomitable and 3 other ships waited in complete silence, their power signatures reduced to almost nothing. The remaining 8 ships were scattered throughout the system, hiding in gas clouds behind moons, and in the thick rings of the system's gas giant. "They're looking for us," Sujin whispered, even though no one could hear them in space, moving in standard search formation. "Let them look," Jinwoo said quietly. "Hyunwoo, are the mines ready?" "Deployed and armed, sir." 200 gravitational mines scattered through the asteroid field. "They'll activate when the Chromath ships get close," Jinwoo nodded. The mines were simple devices, really. They created localized gravity wells that would pull ships off course and smash them into asteroids. In Earth's asteroid belt, they were used for mining operations. Here they would be weapons. "Now we wait," Jinwoo said. "Let them come to us." The Chromath fleet moved forward, confident and slow. They swept the system with powerful sensors, searching for the hiding human ships. The lead elements entered the asteroid field carefully, watching for ambush. The first mine activated when a Chromath destroyer came within range. Suddenly, the ship lurched sideways as artificial gravity grabbed it. The pilot tried to compensate, but the forces were too strong. The destroyer slammed into a massive asteroid at full speed and exploded in a brilliant flash. "Contact!" the Chromath tactical officer shouted. "We're under attack!" "Mines in the asteroid field." Garthen slammed his fist on his chair. "Pull back! Reform outside the field!" But it was too late. The Chromath ships were packed too tightly together. As they tried to retreat, more mines activated. Ships crashed into each other. Asteroids became weapons as the artificial gravity wells threw them into the Chromath formation. Chaos erupted. That's when the Indomitable struck. Jinwoo's ship emerged from behind a massive asteroid at full combat speed, railguns already firing. The tungsten rounds tore through the confused Chromath formation, destroying 3 ships before they even knew the humans were there. Then the Indomitable vanished back into the asteroid field. "Report," Garthen demanded. "We lost 8 ships in the asteroid field, sir. The humans used some kind of gravitational weapon, and they hit us from behind." "Find them!" "All ships weapons free. Kill anything that moves." The Chromath fleet opened fire blindly into the asteroid field. Energy beams turned rocks into dust. But the humans were already gone, using the chaos to relocate to new positions. Lieutenant Dongwoo commanded the destroyer TSS Relentless from its hiding spot in the gas giant's upper atmosphere. The thick clouds concealed his ship perfectly. He watched the Chromath fleet on his sensors, waiting for the right moment. "There," he said, pointing to his screen. "That dreadnought just separated from the main group, moving to bombard the planet." "We're 1 ship against a dreadnought," his tactical officer said nervously. "That thing outmasses us 50 to 1. Dongwoo grinned. "Size doesn't matter if they can't hit you. Helm, take us in. Full stealth approach." The Relentless rose from the gas giant like a shark rising from deep water. The ship accelerated hard, building speed as it climbed out of the gravity well. The Chromath dreadnought never saw them coming. Dongwoo waited until they were at point-blank range, then fired every missile tube at once. 30 missiles streaked toward the massive warship, targeting its engines. The dreadnought's shields absorbed some of them, but the rest got through. Explosions rippled along the ship's stern. "Engines disabled," the tactical officer shouted. The dreadnought is dead in space. Good. Now let's disappear before their friends show up. The relentless dove back into the gas giant's atmosphere, vanishing into the clouds before the chromath could respond. The dreadnought drifted helplessly, unable to maneuver or fight. Across the system, similar ambushes played out. The human ship struck from unexpected angles, hit hard, and vanished before the chromath could coordinate a response. They used every piece of terrain, every shadow, every advantage the system offered. On the Indomitable, Medical Officer Da Yun monitored the crew during a high-G pursuit. The ship was pulling 8 Gs as it dodged between asteroids, chased by 3 chromath cruisers. Heart rates elevated but stable, she reported. No one's even close to blackout threshold. Behind them, the chromath crews were struggling. 8 Gs was beyond their tolerance. Their pilots fought to stay conscious while the Indomitable danced through the asteroid field, like it was a training exercise. One by one, the pursuing ships fell behind as their crews succumbed to the acceleration. Lost them, Dongwu reported from the helm. Coming around for another attack run. The battle raged for 3 days. The chromath had numbers, but the humans had experience fighting in hostile environments. They used tactics drawn from thousands of years of warfare on a planet that gave no quarter. Hit and run. Ambush and fade. Strike from the shadows and disappear before the enemy could react. Engineer Sung Ho worked around the clock, keeping the Indomitable's systems running. The ship was designed tough, but 3 days of constant combat were pushing everything to the limit. We're down to 40% ammunition, he reported, reactor efficiency dropping. We need to cool the engine soon or we risk a shutdown. How long can we keep fighting? Jin Woo asked. Maybe 6 more hours at this pace. After that, we'll be running on fumes. Jin Woo checked the tactical display. The chromath fleet was down to 200 ships. They had lost a third of their force to the human ambushes, but the third shock fleet was exhausted. Every ship was damaged. Every crew was operating on stims and willpower. Sir, incoming transmission from Earth, the communications officer said. It's Fleet Admiral Hyejin. Jin Woo felt hope surge through him. Put her through. Hyejin's face appeared on screen. Captain Jin Woo, I hope you're still alive. Barely, Admiral. We've been holding them off, but we can't last much longer. You don't have to. Hyejin smiled. Look at your long-range sensors. Jin Woo gestured to Su Jin, who pulled up the sensor data. Her eyes went wide. Captain, I'm reading 40 ships dropping out of FTL. No, wait. More contacts. 60. 80. Sir, it's the 1st and 5th shock fleets. They're here! On his screen, Hyejin nodded. You asked for reinforcements. I sent you 2 entire fleets. Show the chromath what happens when they mess with Earth's children. Jin Woo stood up, energy flooding back into his tired body. All ships, this is Captain Jin Woo. Our reinforcements have arrived. Time to stop running and start hunting. Reform on the Indomitable. We're going to finish this. The 3rd shock fleet emerged from hiding all across the system, battered but unbroken. They formed up as the 1st and 5th fleets arrived. Suddenly, the chromath weren't facing 12 exhausted ships. They were facing 92 fresh warships, all crewed by Deathworlders who were done playing defense. Supreme Commander Garthan stared at his sensors in disbelief. How many ships do these humans have? Sir, we should retreat. We can't win this. For the first time in his career, Garthan considered running from a battle. But the Chromath Empire didn't retreat. They were conquerors. They were predators. They had forgotten that Earth produced predators too, and Earth's predators never stopped hunting. The communication request from the planet took 3 attempts before anyone answered. When the screen finally flickered to life, Jin Woo understood why. The Velen on the other end was shaking so hard they could barely speak. The alien was beautiful in a delicate way. Thin and graceful with pale blue skin that seemed almost transparent. Large eyes dominated their face, eyes that were currently wide with fear. They wore robes that looked like they were made from silk and starlight. Please, the Velen said, their voice musical even through the translator. Please don't hurt us. We will give you anything you want. Jin Woo felt his heart sink. They thought the humans were another threat. We're not here to hurt you, he said gently. We received your distress call. We came to help. The attacking ships are gone. You're safe now. The Velen stared at him for a long moment. Then they started crying. You came? Someone actually came? We came. My name is Captain Jin Woo. Who am I speaking with? I am Prilva, Chancellor of the Velen Concordance. The alien wiped their eyes with long, delicate fingers. "We sent that signal to anyone who might hear it." We didn't think anyone would answer. Most species in the galaxy, they don't involve themselves in conflicts. "We're not most species," Jinwoo said. "How many of your people survived?" Prilva's expression turned even sadder. "We don't know yet. Our cities were attacked. Our orbital stations destroyed. The Chromath ships hunted down everyone who tried to escape. They've been bombarding us for 2 days. We have no military. We never needed one. Velas is a peaceful world." "Not anymore," Jinwoo said quietly. "Chancellor, we're going to send down medical teams and supplies. We'll help you search for survivors and begin repairs. But I need to know everything you can tell me about the Chromath. Will they come back?" "They always come back," Prilva said, their voice hollow. "The Chromath Empire conquers worlds on the galactic rim. They target species like us, species with resources but no defenses. They'll send more ships, bigger fleets. They won't forgive what you did here today." Jinwoo nodded slowly. "Then we'll be ready. Send us coordinates for your largest population centers. We'll start there." 6 hours later, Lieutenant Dongwu stood in what used to be a Velan city. The buildings were works of art, tall spires of crystal and light, or they had been. Now, half of them were rubble. Bodies lay in the streets covered with sheets. Velan civilians wandered in shock, trying to find family members or salvage belongings from destroyed homes. The human relief teams moved through the destruction with practiced efficiency. Medical Officer Da Yun had set up a field hospital in the city square. The Velans approached carefully at first, frightened by the humans' size and strength. Humans were built heavy, designed by Earth's gravity to be dense and powerful. Next to the delicate Velans, they looked like monsters. But Da-un had a gentle touch. She treated the wounded with care, her hands steady and sure. The Velans slowly relaxed as they realized these massive aliens were here to help, not harm. "This one has internal bleeding," Da-yun told her assistant. "Get me the portable scanner. And someone find me more painkillers. Our standard dose is too strong for them. We need to dilute everything to 1/10 strength." That was the first surprise. Human medicine was designed for bodies that could survive falls that would shatter a Velan. The drugs were too powerful, the treatments too aggressive. Everything had to be adjusted down. The second surprise came when they distributed food rations. Science Officer Minna handed out emergency meal packs to hungry Velans. One pack was supposed to sustain a human for a day. The Velans discovered that one pack could feed a family for a week. "Your metabolism is incredible," Prilva said, watching the humans work. They had come down from orbit to meet Jinwoo in person. "You require so much energy just to function. Your world must be very harsh." "You could say that," Jinwoo replied. He didn't mention that Earth's gravity was more than twice what the Velans experienced, or that Earth's atmosphere had oxygen levels that would intoxicate most species, or that Earth had weather systems that could level cities and oceans that could swallow continents. Instead, he walked with Prilva through the damaged city. Engineer Sung-ho and his team were already at work, using human construction equipment to clear debris and stabilize damaged buildings. The machines were massive, designed to work in Earth's crushing gravity. "They made the repairs go incredibly fast, I must ask," Prilva said quietly. "Why did you help us?" "The Galactic Union says your world is classified as a death world, Class 12, the highest danger rating. Most civilizations are afraid of species from such places." Jinwoo stopped walking. "What do you know about death worlds?" "Very little. Only that their planet's so hostile that survival itself is nearly impossible. Extreme gravity, toxic atmospheres, violent predators, unstable weather. The fact that any species could evolve on such a world is..." Prilva searched for words. "Terrifying to most of us." "And you're not terrified?" "I was," Prilva admitted. "When we realized who had answered our call, I thought we had traded one monster for another. But then I watched your people work. I saw your medical officer cry when she couldn't save one of our children. I saw your soldiers share their food with our civilians even though you needed it yourselves. I saw your captain risk his ships to protect people he'd never met." The Velan Chancellor looked up at Jinwoo with those large, expressive eyes. "Deathworlders you may be, but monsters you are not. I think your harsh world taught you something the rest of the galaxy forgot. It taught you to protect the weak." Jinwoo didn't know what to say to that. He just nodded and kept walking. Over the next week, the humans worked alongside the Velans to repair the damage. Commander Taemin coordinated the relief effort from orbit, managing supplies and personnel. The Third Shock Fleet's cargo holds had seemed massive when they left Earth. Now they were running low on everything. "We need more medical supplies," Daewon reported, "and construction materials. We've used 70% of our reserves." "I've already requested resupply from Earth," Taemin said. "It'll be here in 5 days." But 5 days turned out to be longer than they had. On the 8th day after the battle, Sujin called an emergency alert. "Captain, you need to see this. Long-range sensors just picked up a massive energy signature at the edge of the system." Jinwoo rushed to the bridge. "What are we looking at?" "FTL signatures. Multiple contacts. Captain, I'm reading over 300 ships inbound. They'll be here in 6 hours." The bridge fell silent. 300 ships against their 12. "The Chromath?" Jinwoo asked, though he already knew the answer. "Confirmed. And these aren't just cruisers. I'm detecting Imperial dreadnoughts, colony killers. Captain, they're bringing everything they have." Jinwoo sat in his command chair and thought fast. He could order the fleet to leave. They could jump to FTL and be gone before the Chromath arrived. It would be the smart choice. The safe choice. He looked at the planet on the main screen. Down there, Velen families were sleeping in temporary shelters. Children were being treated in field hospitals. Civilians were rebuilding their lives with hope in their hearts because the humans had come to save them. "Send a message to Fleet Admiral Hyejin," Jinwoo said. "Tell her we need reinforcements. Every ship she can spare." "And if they don't arrive in time?" Sujin asked. Jinwoo's expression hardened. "Then we hold the line anyway. We didn't come all this way just to abandon them when things got difficult. Get me tactical assessments of the system. Every asteroid, every gravity well, every piece of cover we can use. If the Chromath want this planet, they're going to have to go through us to get it. Sir, with all respect, we're outnumbered 25-1. "I know." Jinwoo stood up. "Which means the Chromath don't know what they're walking into. They're used to fighting prey. We're going to show them what happens when prey fights back, and we're going to teach them why you don't mess with Deathworlders." On the planet below, Prilva received the news and felt their hearts sink. The humans had 300 ships coming to destroy them, and they weren't running. These aliens from a death planet were going to stand and fight against impossible odds. The Chancellor looked up at the sky where human warships orbited, protecting a world that wasn't even theirs. And for the first time, Prilva understood what made Deathworlders different. They didn't know when to quit. Their world had never let them quit. Earth had thrown everything at humanity, and humanity had survived by refusing to give up no matter the odds. Now the Chromath were about to learn the same lesson. The Third Shock Fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the Velen system, and immediately every alarm on the Indomitable started screaming. "Debris field directly ahead," Sujin called out. "Multiple contacts all dead in space. Reading residual heat signatures. These ships were destroyed recently, maybe hours ago." Jinwoo leaned forward in his command chair. The main screen showed a graveyard of vessels drifting in the void. They were beautiful ships even in death. Elegant curves and flowing lines. Built for grace rather than war. They looked like art pieces, not warships. "Scan them," Jinwoo ordered. What were they? Minna's fingers danced across her console. "Civilian transports, Captain. Passenger liners, cargo haulers, and what looks like a few pleasure craft. No weapons, no armor." They never had a chance. The bridge fell silent. Jinwoo felt his jaw tighten. These weren't military targets. These were innocent people trying to escape. "How many?" he asked quietly. "Estimated 23 vessels," Minna replied. "Life signs? Negative. I'm sorry, Captain. Keep scanning. Find me the bastards who did this." The fleet moved deeper into the system, passing through the field of broken ships. Each one told the same story. Hulls torn open. Escape pods destroyed. The attackers hadn't just killed them. They had hunted them down to make sure no one survived. "Contact," Sujin announced suddenly. "Multiple ships bearing 270. Range 400,000 kilometers. They're in orbit around the 4th planet." The main screen shifted to show a blue-green world surrounded by ships. These vessels were nothing like the graceful Velen craft. They were built like weapons, all sharp angles and heavy armor. 47 of them circled the planet like sharks. "I'm reading weapons fire," Sujin continued. "They're bombarding the surface, targeting cities and orbital platforms." Jinwoo watched the screen. Energy beams lanced down from the attacking ships, turning buildings into dust. Explosions bloomed across the planet's surface like deadly flowers. "Identify those ships," he said. Minna worked fast. "Cross-referencing with our database, got it. Those are Chromath Empire vessels, Captain. Military designation, Hunter-class cruisers. The Chromath are known for aggressive expansion. They attack species that can't defend themselves." "Not anymore," Jinwoo said. "Tactical. Give me a firing solution on the nearest enemy ship. Communications, open a channel on all frequencies." "Channel open, sir." Jinwoo stood up. "This is Captain Jinwoo of the Terran Defense Fleet, commanding the 3rd Shock Fleet. We are responding to the Velen distress call. All civilian vessels withdraw to minimum safe distance immediately. Hostile forces, you have one chance to disengage and leave this system. This is your only warning." On the Chromath flagship, Commander Vexthor heard the transmission and laughed. His translator rendered the human words into his own language, and they sounded absurd. "Terran?" He checked his computer. Earth was listed as a primitive world on the edge of known space. These humans barely had FTL technology. "Ignore them," Vexthor ordered. "Continue bombardment. If they interfere, destroy them." Aboard the Indomitable, Sujin shook her head. "No response from the hostile fleet, Captain." "They're not even changing course." Jinwoo sat back down. "Then we do this the hard way. All ships attack speed. Target their command ship first. Weapons free on my mark." The 3rd Shock Fleet accelerated. The human ships surged forward at speeds that should have been impossible. Inside the Indomitable, the crew felt the pressure increase as the engines pushed harder. 2Gs, 3Gs, 4. To them it was uncomfortable but manageable. They had grown up in Earth's crushing gravity. Their bodies were built to handle it. To the Chromath, watching on their sensors, it was terrifying. No living crew should survive that acceleration. The ships had to be automated. But they weren't. Each one carried hundreds of Deathworlders who didn't even seem to notice the forces that would turn a Chromath into paste. "They're still accelerating," Vexthor's tactical officer reported, his voice uncertain. 5 Gs now. 6, sir. Nothing organic can survive that." "They're bluffing," Vexthor said, but he didn't sound confident anymore. "Fire a warning shot. Show them we're serious." The Chromath ships opened up with their standard intimidation barrage. Low-powered plasma bolts designed to scare enemies into surrender. The green energy splashed across the Indomitable's hull and did absolutely nothing. "They're shooting at us," Dongwu reported from the helm. He sounded amused. "Barely scratched the paint, sir." Jinwoo smiled without humor. The Indomitable's hull was designed to survive meteor impacts at orbital speeds and the pressure of Earth's deepest oceans. Chromath plasma fire was like throwing rocks at a mountain. "Return fire," Jinwoo said. "Show them what real weapons look like." Hyunwoo had been waiting for this moment. His fingers moved across the fire control system. Railguns 1 through 6 locked and loaded, firing. The Indomitable's main gun spoke. Magnetic coils accelerated solid tungsten projectiles to a fraction of light speed. The railguns had been designed for mining operations on Earth, punching through solid rock to reach deep ore deposits. Against starship armor, they were devastating. The first Chromath cruiser never knew what hit it. The tungsten round passed through its shields like they weren't there, punched through the hull and exited the other side. The ship came apart in a ball of fire and debris. "Target destroyed," Hyunwoo reported calmly. "Engaging next target." The other 11 human ships opened fire. Railgun rounds tore through the Chromath formation. Ships that had been bombarding helpless civilians suddenly found themselves facing weapons they had no defense against. Vexthor watched in horror as 8 of his ships vanished from his tactical display in the first 30 seconds. "Shields aren't stopping them. How are they penetrating our shields?" "They're not using energy weapons, sir," his tactical officer said. "Those are solid projectiles. Kinetic kills. Our shields were never designed to stop physical matter moving that fast. Evasive maneuvers. Return fire with everything we have." The Chromath fleet tried to fight back. Their heavy plasma cannons, designed to crack planetary defenses, fired at the human ships. The energy weapons hit, and the human shields absorbed most of the damage. What got through splashed against armor that could withstand atmospheric re-entry. Dongwu piloted the destroyer TSS Relentless through the enemy formation, dodging return fire with maneuvers that would kill most alien crews. 6G turns, 8G rolls. The human crew gritted their teeth and held on while their ship danced between enemy vessels like a fighter jet. "I've got 3 on my tail," Dongwu reported, his voice tight but controlled. "Shaking them now." He threw the Relentless into a 9G dive that crushed him into his seat. Behind him, the Chromath ships tried to follow and their crews blacked out from the acceleration. The computer-controlled pursuit broke off, and Dongwu came around for another attack run. On the Indomitable, Medical Officer Da Yun monitored crew vitals. Heart rates were elevated, adrenaline levels high, but everyone was well within normal parameters. The sustained high-G combat that would liquefy most organic species was just intense exercise to humans. All crews report green, she told Jinwoo. No casualties. Minor strain injuries only. The battle continued. The Chromath ships were designed to hunt weak prey. They had speed and firepower, but their tactics were all wrong. They bunched together for intimidation. They fired warning shots before real attacks. They expected their enemies to run. The humans did none of those things. They split into attack groups. They used the planet's gravity well for slingshot maneuvers. They coordinated their fire to overwhelm shields and armor. Most importantly, they didn't hesitate. Vexthor realized too late what he was facing. These weren't primitive spacefaring species. These were predators from a world that ate the weak for breakfast. His ships were dying, and there was nothing he could do about it. Retreat, he finally ordered. All ships, emergency FTL. Get us out of here! But it was too late for most of his fleet. The human ships had closed to point-blank range. Railguns fired continuously, turning Chromath vessels into scrap metal. Missiles found their targets and tore through shields already weakened by kinetic impacts. 17 minutes after the first shot was fired, the battle was over. Vexthor's flagship jumped to FTL along with 14 other surviving Chromath ships running for their lives. The rest of his fleet drifted as burning wrecks, joining the Velen civilian vessels they had destroyed. Jinwoo surveyed the battlefield. Damage report. Minor hull damage to the Relentless and the Valiant, Sujin reported. No casualties across the fleet. All ships report combat ready. Good. Hail the planet. Let's meet the people we just saved. The console beeped 3 times before Jiyoon noticed it. She had been staring at the same star chart for the past hour, watching nothing happen in the empty space around Neptune. Working the night shift at Terran Frontier Station meant long hours of silence and cold coffee. But this beep was different. This one made her sit up straight. The signal was weak and broken, but it was definitely there. Ji-eun adjusted the receivers and boosted the gain. Static filled her headset, then a voice. It wasn't human. The words were alien, musical, and strange, but the computer translated them quickly. Help us. Please, anyone. They are destroying everything. We need help. Ji-eun's hands moved fast across the controls. She recorded the transmission and sent an alert to the command deck. Within minutes, Commander Taemin arrived at her station, still buttoning his uniform jacket. What do we have? He asked. Ji-eun played the recording. The alien voice came through again, clearer this time. This is the Velen Concordance. We are under attack. Our coordinates are attached. Please, we have no defenses. They are killing us. Anyone who can hear this, please help. Taemin leaned over her shoulder and studied the data. The signal had traveled 47 light years. The coordinates pointed to a system that wasn't in any of their charts. Whoever these Velens were, humanity had never met them before. Send this to Fleet Admiral Heejin immediately, Taemin said, and get me everything we can find about that system. 2 hours later, Taemin stood in the conference room with his senior officers. The large screen showed the distress signal's origin point. Fleet Admiral Heejin appeared on the video link from Earth, her face serious. We've analyzed the transmission, Heejin said. It's genuine. The Velens are asking for help from anyone who will listen. They don't know who we are. Lieutenant Dongwu frowned. Why would they contact us? Don't most alien species avoid Earth? They do, Heejin confirmed. The Galactic Union classified Earth as a Class 12 death world 20 years ago, when they discovered us. Most civilizations won't come near us. They think we're dangerous. We are dangerous, Taemin said quietly. That's why we should help them, Heejin nodded. I agree. This is our chance to show the galaxy that Deathworlders can be protectors, not predators. But I need to be clear about the risks. We don't know what we're flying into. This could be a trap. It could be a war we can't win. What's attacking them? Asked Sujin, the tactical officer. Unknown. The Velens didn't identify their attackers. But based on the panic in their voices, I'd say they're not used to violence at all. Taemin looked at the star map. 47 light years. It would take the fleet 4 days to get there using maximum FTL speed. 4 days while the Velans died. What are you authorizing, Admiral? Heejin's expression hardened. I'm sending the 3rd Shock Fleet. Captain Jinwoo will command from the Indomitable. 12 ships, full combat loadout. You'll leave in 6 hours. The orders went out immediately. Across the Neptune orbital stations, alarms sounded. The 3rd Shock Fleet had been on standby for 3 months, ready for exactly this kind of emergency. Now they would finally see action. Captain Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the TSS Indomitable and watched his crew prepare for departure. 800 men and women moved with practiced efficiency, checking weapons systems, loading ammunition, and plotting jump coordinates. These were volunteers, every one of them. They had signed up knowing they might face combat against unknown enemies in the depths of space. Status report, Jinwoo said. All ships report ready, Sujin answered from the tactical station. Weapons loaded, shields at maximum, FTL drives charged. Engineering reports green across the board, added Sung Ho from his station. We can maintain combat speed for 72 hours before needing to cool the reactors. Jinwoo nodded. The Indomitable was built to withstand hell itself. Her hull could survive Earth's ocean pressures at the deepest trenches. Her engines could push through gravitational forces that would crush most alien ships like tin cans. And her weapons could punch holes through solid rock. To the rest of the galaxy, human warships were absurdly over-engineered. To humanity, they were just built to survive the same forces they dealt with every day on Earth. Open a channel to the fleet, Jinwoo ordered. The comm officer nodded. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Jinwoo to all ships of the 3rd Shock Fleet. We're going to help people who can't help themselves. We don't know what we'll find when we arrive, but we know why we're going. Somewhere out there, innocent people are dying. They called for help and we answered. That's what we do. That's what Earth taught us to do. Stay sharp, stay ready, and remember your training. Jinwoo out. The fleet jumped to FTL 6 hours later, right on schedule. 12 ships vanished from Neptune orbit in flashes of blue light, leaving only ripples in spacetime behind them. Inside the Indomitable, the crew settled in for the 4-day journey. Medical Officer Da-Yoon made her rounds, checking that everyone had received their combat stims and radiation shots. Science Officer Min-Ah studied everything they knew about the target system, which wasn't much. Weapons Officer Hyunwoo ran endless drills with his gunners, making sure every railgun and missile tube was perfect. Jinwoo sat in his command chair and read the Velan distress signal again. The fear in those alien voices was real. Whoever they were terrified. They had reached out blindly into the darkness, hoping someone would care enough to help. They didn't know they had called Earth. They didn't know what a death world was. They didn't know that humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every single day. A planet with crushing gravity, poisonous atmosphere, extreme temperatures, violent weather, and predators that hunted in the dark. Earth had made humanity strong. Earth had made them survivors. And Earth had taught them that the strong protect the weak. Captain, Sujin said, breaking his thoughts, I've been thinking about what we might face. If the Velans have no defenses, their attackers are probably used to easy targets. They won't expect resistance. Good, Jinwoo said. Let's make sure their first taste of resistance is their last. The fleet raced through FTL space, covering light years and hours. Behind them, Earth continued its endless spin. Ahead of them, the Velans fought and died, and between them, 12 ships full of Deathworlders prepared to show the galaxy what humanity was really made of. In his quarters, Taemin recorded a message to send back to Earth once they arrived. We don't know what the Galactic Union thinks of us, he said to the camera. We don't know if they see us as monsters or heroes. But today we'll show them who we really are. We're the species that survived the worst planet in known space, and we're coming to help. The countdown continued. 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Then the Indomitable's sensors picked up the edge of the Velan system, and Captain Jinwoo gave the order that would change everything. All ships, drop from FTL. Battle stations. Let's go save some lives.